Hey everybody, it's Chris Loud. I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to share a collage demo where I create an abstract landscape with acrylic paint skins. What is an acrylic skin? It's the dried acrylic paint that's peeled off of a palette or other surface. I'm starting this off with a cradled wood panel. This is an 8x8, and I put down some Prussian blue and Payne's gray to start the initial background. And then I'm following it up with some cadmium orange, crimson, and bright aqua green. At this point, I'm kind of just exploring and playing with the background. I didn't really have direction for the initial background. I bring in, I start doing some drips here in a minute, and just playing and having fun. It's almost kind of a warm up for this painting. And just I use a toothbrush with some white paint and started getting some little drips down, knowing that a lot of this was not going to show through in the end. Very little of it was, but it really kind of got me painting, and kind of use this as my warm up, just exploring and playing with the background. And then I will dry that and wipe away some of this to start developing that background. And I kind of liked where that was. It was kind of dark and drab and a little bit muddy, but it gave me an area to start with these acrylic skins. There are a lot of reasons that I like using acrylic skins or dried and peeled acrylic paint. It's such a great way to add unique texture and dimension to whatever you're working on. They can be layered, folded, or manipulated to creating interesting three-dimensional effects that add depth and I think visual interest to the artwork. They're also really versatile. They can be easily cut or torn, or kind of shaped into various forms, which gives you the ability to experiment with different compositions and arrangements. And you can see, with that background that I created, and then putting these brighter pieces of acrylic paint, those skins down, those really kind of are popping a little bit. They're showing through because of that initial background. And these, like I said, these skins can add a unique pop of color. You get a wide range of vibrant colors, and you can intentionally create skins. What I'm using are just skins that I've peeled off of my palette, when I'm doing other paintings, and this is the leftover painting, and I'll let that dry and peel it off. But you can intentionally create skins which let you explore mixing colors and layering and blending. The variety of colors and their interactions can lead to more unexpected and visually appealing outcomes. But right there, I'm doing a little bit of mixing with some titanium white and yellow ochre. I'm letting some of the underpainting colors mix with that was still a little wet, so some of that crimson is mixing, so you can see I've got a little bit of variation there, and then adding some of that light permanent blue, and then I'll also add some of that mixed with white, and then just start doing some blending. And at this point, I think I could have really played a little bit more and been done with this. I kind of like the overall look of this. That still has a good landscape feel, but as many of you know who watch some of my videos, I like to keep going. So I definitely could have stopped. I gave it a thought, but decided to continue on. I had some other ideas that I thought I would play with. I had some darker skins that were sitting on my table that I thought I would try and play with. And you'll see kind of how that develops and how much texture and depth develop here shortly. Now, making collages with acrylic paint skins often involves repurposing leftover paint. Like I said, I enjoy doing this because I'm using up that paint, leftover paint from previous projects. And this, that not only reduces waste, but it also kind of adds an eco-friendly and sustainable aspect to the creative process. So I enjoy using found objects and things like that as well. It really kind of sparks your creativity. And I think using these skins is another way to do that. So again, just continuing to add, I've got a bunch of these acrylic skins off to the side on a table, and I'm constantly looking over there and seeing what might work. Using these skins is very hands-on and tactile. I mean, very much like any collage work. But the act of peeling the paint from the surface and cutting and tearing it into shapes and arranging the pieces can be physically engaging, almost meditative. And I find it to be just a really enjoyable experience, both peeling it off and using these. And you can also combine these with other materials such as paper or fabric or, like I said, found objects. And you can create more unique and engaging mixed media collages, I think. And this lets you utilize a variety of textures and elements in your work. So making collages with acrylic paint skins just gives you the opportunity to explore and explore textures and colors and compositions in a little bit different way. So at this point I let it dry because I'd been putting that paint on and using acrylic medium to fix the skins down, and I had to let it dry. So when I came back I put a white board underneath just so we could see this a little bit better. But here's where I start bringing in some of those darker skins, and I think these paint skins, like I said, I rarely find a good use for these darker paint skins. This is really, there's blues and Payne's gray and some violets and different, I think there's some with a little black in there as well. But once I started putting one of those down, I immediately started thinking mountain range. And so I started thinking, let me play with a mountain range with kind of a colorful, almost meadow and path in the front. So that's where my mind was. It was just a matter of, could I pull it off with what I was grabbing from the table. And some of these skins had been, they were, gosh, I had some of these I think were over a year old, and they laid on top of each other and kind of stuck together. So I bring in some of these that are quite thick, and have just a quick, a big variety of paint colors and blends in there. So it's kind of fun to use those. And so it was a very textured piece, and I'll show you at the end. I'll show you a little video of kind of what the textures look like. So I'm talking a lot about these acrylic paint skins. What's your favorite non-paper item to use in collage? Let me know in the comments. Be curious to see what everyone uses that maybe is unique and different from just paper. And not that there's anything wrong with using paper. I use paper all the time. And if you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, other tutorials and art challenges, feel free to subscribe. And as always, thank you so much to everyone who supports the channel by liking and commenting on these videos, subscribes to the channel, and those who support the channel with super thanks donations. As far as the materials I was using other than the paints and the skins, I used some color shapers, a couple of flat brushes, a palette knife, and you'll see at the end here I'll use a water-soluble wax pastel just to create a little bit of shadow on this path here. And the palette I use that I am able to peel this off with, I have a couple of them, and one of them, was an inexpensive one that I got a long time ago. I have no idea where I got. I don't remember. I think it was one actually somebody gave to me, but I'm not 100% on that. But I use this TriArts palette. I'll put a link in the description so you can check those out. They have different sizes of those, but you can peel paint off really well with that palette. The one I have, looking at it now, I think it's a 16 by 20. It's a pretty big one. Actually, I take that back. I think it's an 11 by 14. But they do have a 16 by 20. So here's what I'm using. I'm just using a violet water-soluble wax pastel just on the edges to create this little bit more path-like look here. So this is kind of getting to where the end is. So you can see how thick this is. These are some of the ones that had kind of laid on top of each other. So thanks for watching, and keep on painting and give this a try. Let me know what you think.